totalwellnesshealthcoaching.com. Here on YouTube, it's Functional Medicine Living. We've been in my office, we've been trying on clothes and all kinds of fun things, and we're back in the kitchen, we're cooking because we eat every day, just like I'm sure you do, and so that means we cook every day. And so I have been wanting to show you this video. In fact, I have shot it a couple times in a couple different ways, and something has happened each time. So I'm doing it again. I'm taking one for the team. I'm going to have pizza tonight. We're using our gluten-free sourdough starter, and we're making pizza. And again, I just have to say thank you to Lisa at farmhouseonboone.com, because really all of my sourdough ideas are hers, and I'm just showing you that they work with gluten-free too. So this is straight up from her. I didn't create this. I do maintain my own starter because, like I said, it's gluten-free. And I'm going to show you how to make it. So I fed my starter this morning. It is 5 o'clock. I fed it at probably 8 or 9. It was really chilly this morning, so you can see I had the towel over it, and I put it in my oven with the light on just to, you know, provide a little bit of warmth because it was really cold in the kitchen. It is 5 o'clock and I'm just now having my coffee, so that's potentially a bad thing. I have my cast iron skillet. This is my largest one, and it's clean. I just sauteed some mushrooms and onions because I'm alone tonight and I can eat my pizza the way I want, and I love caramelized onions, mushrooms. There was something else, jalapenos. So anyway, I'm making this pizza just for me. So I cooked my vegetables in this skillet. Sorry, I was thinking about mushrooms and onions. I got distracted for a second. And then I cleaned it really well. I sprayed it with my avocado oil spray, wiped it with a paper towel just like I always do. So this is really just like it would have been out of my cupboard, except that it was already a little bit warm. Well, a lot warm because I was cooking with it. But you want to not grease your skillet. So it's going to be a little bit oiled because you're oiling it after you clean it. But I'm not putting any oil in the bottom. So I'm just going to pour in some sourdough. You want it to sizzle. That tells you that your skillet is hot. You're trying to sort of cook this crust from the bottom up. I don't know what's going on with my watch. I kept seeing like a little picture out of the corner of my eye, and I think it's either a podcast or I actually was just listening to music. So it's probably the album cover from the music I was listening to. But I've turned the music off, so I'm not sure why it was still showing it to me. I like to have a little edge on my pizza. If you don't have to worry about this, but I like to work it up the sides. As it cooks, it'll start to stick a little bit more. This crust, when it's done, is going to be thin, but yet it will hold together. The edges will be real crispy, kind of like a cracker, which I like. If you like a great big doughy crust, I'm sure there are gluten-free or even paleo pizza crust recipes that would meet that criteria. I don't really like that, honestly. Neither does my husband, and so we've created recipes for us. We like all the toppings. We like all the yummy stuff, and the crust is really just the vehicle. I do like a really good crust, don't get me wrong, but it's not the most important thing to me. So I'm continuing to work it because I don't want it to puddle and be super thick right on that corner. So I'm just kind of pulling it up the edges. Like I said, it's already stuck, but a little bit more as it starts to set. And then, relatively even. You don't have to, I'm probably being way more fussy with it than you need to be, but I'm trying to show you the perfect sourdough pizza crust. If you are working on building up your sourdough and your starter, I guess I should say, and you're in the stage where you're discarding, this is what you can make. You can make pancakes, which I haven't showed you the pancakes or waffles yet. Sorry, waffles. I meant to say waffles, not pancakes. But they're very, very good. I'm going to turn this down. You'll want your burner on about medium, maybe medium high to start, and then turn it down to medium. And really let it set up. So you can see the difference between this part and this part. This is more set. This is not set. Y'all, I'm afraid my smoke detector is going to go off. Whenever I use this burner, I'm afraid of that. So you want it to be fairly well set. It smells like it's burning. I might have had it a little too hot. But if it's a little crispy on the bottom, that's really totally okay with me. Once it's mostly set, I'm going to drizzle on a little bit of olive oil. In fact, I'm going to measure it out because when I pour out of this giant jug, I tend to get too much, and then that makes it a little soggy. So I'm going to pour out of my measuring spoon, but I'm not quite ready yet. So you have to talk to me. A couple of things that are different about making the crust this way versus any of the other paleo or gluten-free crusts I've made and shown you is that this crust will get soggy, and so I always put a layer of cheese on the bottom. If you're not doing cheese, no problem. Put your pepperoni or sausage or whatever kind of meat you're using, kind of cover the bottom with your something that isn't wet, so not a vegetable. So if you're making a vegetable pizza without cheese, it's probably going to end up a little bit soggy. But if you're using cheese or using some kind of meat, then you can prevent the sog, okay? So I put a little layer of cheese, and then I put on my toppings, and then I put a little sauce on. And instead of we love pizza sauce, so we slather it on a real thick layer. Not with this, you just want to kind of dollop a little bit around. You can smooth it out if you want to. And then a little more cheese on top. I'm going to put some spices on top that I like, and then pop that in the oven. Okay, so you can see how this is really starting to set up. So I'm going to drizzle just a little olive oil. I probably want a teeny bit more than that. It's really for flavor. Usually I don't cook with my olive oil because I like the flavor to be fresh. Like I'll use this on a salad dressing, that kind of thing. Okay. This is pepper jack. I have found that I tolerate the harder, more aged cheeses a lot better than the softer cheeses. So on my pizzas, I'll use this one instead. I'll use Monterey Jack, or this was pepper jack, instead of mozzarella. The mozzarella upsets my stomach. This doesn't. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that on there. It's totally fine. So I have my layer of cheese, pepperoni, and then I don't know if I'll use all of these. Let's see. Oh yeah. Hubby's not here for the bad breath, so it's okay. Actually, we'll just use them all. Why not? So pile on the mushrooms. I like a little bit of, I was looking for my pickled banana peppers and I couldn't find them quickly. So these are my preserved jalapenos, which also have that sort of pickle flavor. So I'll put those on. Okay, then sauce and a little more cheese. Okay, now sauce and then a little bit more cheese. This pizza sauce I really like. Again, pizza sauce is one of those things that some of it upsets my stomach. But this particular one is the just organic 365, so that's Whole Foods brand. Doesn't bother me. And it tastes good because we want our food to not make us sick, but we also want to enjoy eating it, right? Okay, my oven I would normally put on 400 or 425, but I'm making my scones right now and they're in there at 375. So I'm going to put this in at 375. It's not picky. This is my Greek seasoning, not mine. It's Primal Palate, but it's the Greek seasoning that I like. It does belong to me. I did buy it. Technically it is mine, but I didn't make it. Okay, this is going in the oven. Okay, that's it. Now we just wait. It just has to cook in the oven. Remember, we cooked the crust from the bottom up, so it's mostly done. We need to melt the cheese, heat up the toppings. I like it kind of bubbly, nice and bubbly and brown. And that takes, at 400 it usually takes about 10 to 12 minutes, but again we're at 375, so it may take up to 15. So just keep an eye on it and take it out when it is the way you like it. All right, I'll show you the finished product in just a minute. Alrighty, here is my sourdough pizza out of the oven. It's been out for about 5 minutes. I mean, it was boiling, all the liquid from, this doesn't sound very nice, but the fat from the pepperoni and the cheese and the liquid that was still in the vegetables was kind of boiling. So I let it sit for a little bit. Now, look, I know when you watch these cooking videos, you're used to seeing everything come out perfectly, everything works amazingly, it's fast and tidy. I try to show you my videos in real time because I want you to know how long it's really going to take you to make something. This was in the oven for, I think I told you 15 minutes was what I was expecting. It was like 12 to 15. When my scones came out, I turned the temperature up to 400. So anywhere from 375 to like 450 would be fine. I'm using my largest skillet because I wanted to make a big pizza. But this skillet is, it sticks a little bit. My next size down, this comes out perfectly. But I want to show you this, okay, because this might happen to you. So I told you that the edges will be real thin, like and crispy like a cracker, and they really are. There's a little mushroom stuck there. Can you hear it crunch? With my medium-sized skillet, I can just lift the whole thing out, plop it on my cutting board, cut it into slices. This one stuck a little bit. I think I need to maybe spend some time re-seasoning my skillet, and that would help. Honestly, I just use this one all the time for my regular everyday cooking, and it's mostly fine. But I'm gonna just destroy this getting it out, and I really wanted to show you one of the great things about this crust that you don't always get with gluten-free is that you can pick it up and eat it with your hands. So I'm going to see if I can wedge out one piece to show you that. Okay, I have my spatula under there. This one is a little floppy. Usually it's like how this is back here. I can really pick it up and hold on to it and eat it just like this. So I wanted to show you this anyway. Even though it's not ideal, it still tastes amazing, and it used my sourdough starter. If my skillet was maybe seasoned a little bit better, or maybe I had a little bit too wet of toppings, you know, I'm not sure why it stuck, but it does it about really almost every time I use this skillet, and it never does when I use my smaller skillet. But I wanted to show you this. Just, you know, it's real life, not everything comes out perfectly. But it is a great way to use up your sourdough starter. It tastes really good. My picky family loves this. It's just so hot. My husband has type 1 diabetes. When he eats a regular gluten-free pizza like the frozen ones from Costco, which we love, we do eat those kind of regularly, his blood sugar goes really high because the crust is thicker. There's just so many carbs in that. But this crust is so thin that it doesn't affect his blood sugar like that. So please try this. Don't let mine sticking to the pan deter you. Make sure your skillet is really seasoned well. I highly recommend a cast iron. I suspect you could do it with a non-stick skillet. It just has to be an oven-proof skillet, and you know, oven-proof to the higher temperatures. You're using it on the stove, then you're moving it into the oven. And the problem with a non-stick is that you want it to kind of stick to your edges, you know. And if you grease this ahead of time or used a non-stick, I think it would just slip down. It wouldn't. Your crust would not. Let's see how I want to say this. You certainly wouldn't be able to have crust come up the edge like this if you greased it, because I've tried it that way before. So anyway, sourdough pizza crust, super easy. This video was way longer than it needed to be because this is a very simple process. But it's one of those recipes that's really easy, but it's really difficult to write up effectively. So I wanted to show it to you. And it tastes good. Did I tell you what tasted good? Like the crust itself. actually tastes good. I hope you make it. I hope you love it. I hope you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, I make lots of videos like this. Usually they do turn out close to perfect, and delicious foods that we used to eat before we had to change our diet. Now we stay healthy from our autoimmune diseases with our diet and lifestyle choices, and we still eat delicious foods like this. This is a treat, of course. The cheese is a treat. We don't have that all the time. But we can have it occasionally, and that's awesome. So those are the kinds of recipes I share. If that sounds good to you, I'd love it if you would subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Introduce yourself in the comments. I'd like to get to know you. I hope you have a great day. The sun is in my eyes, and I will see you next time.